I want to thank Moment Magazine and the Karma Foundation for giving me this award. It's so exciting for me. I live in Israel, so it was impossible for me to join you there tonight. The award is very important to me, first of all, because it's actually the first short story I've ever written. And to receive the award just gives me confirmation that I should start writing fiction. And I really want to go in the direction of fiction. And in fact, this award gave me the confidence to accept a job writing fiction. I especially feel bad because I would love to meet Erica Jung, whose work I've so enjoyed over the years. And the story, Jerusalem Stone, that I'm going to read is very important to me because for me it's a way, well, fiction and writing in general is a way of transforming experience into art. And the story I'm going to read to you, it's about a woman, a scientist who's a widow, and she has one son, a teenage son, that she's having a difficult time with. And her job, she's part of a team of scientists that's trying to discover a new element. And in a way, I feel that writing is like that also, because we're always trying to make discoveries in our work, and we're always trying to transform our lives into something that has a deeper truth to it. So in my life, a lot of you know that my son Koby was murdered by terrorists almost 10 years ago, and we began the Koby Mandell Foundation. And I also wrote a book called The Blessing of a Broken Heart, which was a memoir that talked about our experience of transforming darkness into light. But I feel that the short story and fiction can do that in a way that no other genre really can. And that in a way, this award gives me the permission to go deep into my experience and my emotions and find a way to convey them in a new way, and in a way that gives me a feeling of happiness and an important opportunity for transformation. Okay, I'm going to read an excerpt from the story now. And the story is set in Israel. Margalit drives quickly up Rehov Templar toward the Begin Expressway. If the traffic isn't too bad, she can still get there in time. But as she stops at a light, she sees a mother pushing a stroller bend down to her young child, stooping to tie his boots, talking to him as she smooths his hair. She takes the bottom of her sleeve and wipes his nose. She remembers Gadi as a baby, his hair a tousle of red curls, the wide open smile. She was so busy then, learning Hebrew, settling into a new home, rushing from daycare to work, back again to pick up Gadi. He would cry when she left him. This morning he scowled at her as he drank a cup of Turkish coffee. "It's not good for you with all that sugar," she told him. "I know what's good for me," he answered. She let it go. Maybe he does know what is good for him. She certainly doesn't. In 13 minutes, she is supposed to bestow the awards for innovations in research. A silly name. Isn't all research innovative? She has supervised these projects for years, training her students to be rigorous, uncompromising. She has taught them to admire the rhythm of the periodic table, each element in its own square, measurable, unseen and seen at the same time. All of these years working to discover a new element, pitching atoms in the nuclear accelerator. Now another research team is close to fusing the nuclei of zinc and lead to create the heaviest element in the periodic table. She tries to concentrate at work, to execute her computer imaging programs. But when she looks at the periodic table, each element in its square, looks like it is lying in its own grave. As she waits for the light to change, she sits inert as stone. She has to go get her son. She should not let him hitchhike home. He could be picked up by the wrong people. He could be picked up by terrorists. It begins to pour, and a minute later turns into a light drizzle. She flicks on the windshield wipers and turns the car around. The guard has one leg on the ground, one forked around the leg of a metal stool. He is sitting under the arch of a doorway so the rain doesn't touch him. His nose has a few freckles. His eyes are two shining coins. She shakes her hair, brushes raindrops from her sleeves. She says that she is a mother from the school, Gadi's mother, the one with the pierced eyebrow. He has a black backpack. I know. I saw you drop him off. He smiles at her. Gadi, yeah, we're pals. Lots of days he sits out here with me. We share lunch. He has toasted bagels and cheese. Sometimes he gives me avocados and cashews. Once he brought me a perfect persimmon. You make him beautiful lunches. He smiles at her, his dark skin moist from the rain. She does not pack lunches for Gadi. He tells her that he doesn't want her to make him anything, that he buys a sandwich at a kiosk across the street. He never told me, she said. That's what kids are like. You know, kids don't always tell their parents. There's a lot I didn't tell my parents. Don't worry, it's normal. Is it, she asks, questioning and agreeing at the same time. But she had imagined motherhood differently. She would be friends with her son. They would speak and laugh and drink hot chocolate together on the couch, not sit in different rooms on computers. A teenager, he has to have his own life. Just be positive with him. Don't criticize. I wish I could do that. Don't take things so seriously. Besides, Gadi's a great guy. He's an amazing kid. Every Sunday my mother makes Ethiopian bread. She always makes extra for me and Gadi. Sunday is our day. She is shocked. Here is her son sharing lunch with this man, an intimacy she has no inkling of. Then Gadi will be with you for lunch? It's Sunday. Gadi would never miss my mother's bread. It's a big pancake, and oh boy, Gadi loves it. The mist of rain has stopped. She can go now. He is not going to hitchhike home, at least not until he has eaten his pancakes. She pictures an Ethiopian mother in her kitchen, her hair held back by a yellow scarf. She is standing by the frying pan, listening for the sizzle of the butter that tells her it is time to pour the batter. She sings as she cooks. Margalit kicks a rock with her foot and thinks that it is composed of hydrogen and nitrogen, and that the atomic weight of the new element they are working to discover is 122 times heavier than hydrogen. Each new element is formed by adding a neutron, a simple addition that can only be inferred by computer imaging, by radioactive droppings. Its disintegration is what identifies it. She can imagine Professor Marcus shaking his head at the ceremony, whispering, wondering what has delayed her. Her cell phone is no doubt ringing in the car. She has never let them down before. At night, next to Adine, she used to dream of the new element. She could see the traces of its radioactive footprint glimmering in the darkness. Now she longs to dream of Adine, for him to tell her what to do. I just want to tell you that when Moment called me to tell me that I had won the award, they said that Moment Magazine was calling, and I was in Israel, and I thought they were calling to give me to sell me a magazine subscription. So I really want to thank Nadine and the rest of the staff for giving me this award, and Erica Jung. So thank you. I was inspired to write this short story because I took my first fiction workshop in Israel with Bar Ilan, and we had a guest writer come for 3 days to teach us. His name is Ehud Havatzelet, and he asked us to write a story that emerged from setting. So I started writing about Jerusalem Stone because where I live, we can see the stone all around us, and also the stone being dug out of the hills. And sometimes when we drive, the stone is on trucks in front of us. And I started the story with the image of this heavy block of stone on a truck in front of Marguerite. And as she's driving uphill, she's terrified that the stone is going to fall on her. And as I continued writing the story, I had a couple of middles and endings. And I remember Ehud said to me, just keep her in the car. So I was able to do that, to keep her in the car with her son. And then the story emerged from that. Is there a relationship between Judaism and storytelling? Well, for me, there's a very deep relationship between telling stories and Judaism. First of all, in the Torah, especially Bereshit, especially the book of Genesis, it's all about stories. And they're stories that you can return to over and over and always find new meaning in. I mean, the story of Adam and Eve is one of the basic stories that we can always look at in a different way almost every time we look at it. And also at our Shabbos table, we're always telling stories. And we tell stories from Torah, and we tell stories of the rabbis and the rebbitzins. And Judaism is a religion of telling stories. The Seder is basically a story. And also in my family, we grew up telling stories. My parents were great storytellers, and my father loved to tell jokes. So storytelling was very important in my family, and it was always important to be original, because you didn't want to bore anybody in my family. They liked to have things that were funny and something new. You always had to say something new. So I think I owe a debt to my parents, because they really stimulated my creativity, and they continue to. And also I want to thank my children and my husband, who have always encouraged me in my writing and who always give me material. So Daniel and Eliana and Gavi and Seth, thank you so much for all of your support through all these years. And the final question, what do I want the Moment magazine reader to take away from my story? When I think about my story, Jerusalem Stone, what I wanted the reader to take away is the idea that there's truth hiding every moment. And Marguerite, her job is to try to create a new element and to find something new in what already exists. And I think our job as human beings is to find the light that's buried in each rock. Because even I heard a story on Shabbos that was a story about a man who was in Jerusalem, and he was able to see that there were beautiful colors in the rocks, and nobody else could see them. But they were there if we're willing to look for them and to wait. So thank you again, and I'm really sorry I couldn't be there, but thank you.